Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order. I'm going to ask if we can have a roll call.
This will be an electronic.
Okay, we're all here. Okay, seeing none. Commissioner, I said it right. Yes. So, we're
Good afternoon, Chair Crawford, CO Baxter Trahair, commissioners, staff, and members of the public joining us today. As you know, a day here at to their roles. On the screen, this year's theme is Embrace Equity. It's a great reminder of women. On behalf of the senior management team, I wish to express our thanks to the women of DRT for the important work they do every day. In this first is the collaboration. Second is our to support basically and to our DPS to cover the actual costs. As you demand, the challenges work as planned. Currently, there's challenges. DRT day. Customers include the situation when we experience a significant unplanned and some well, I must steadfastly reaffirm that neither of these factors contribute to our current challenges. The single customers, the performance of our efficient. The current On behalf of DRT, we truly we also land. We've talked before. DRT continues, but we're just not quite there yet. We can, however, when we say we're going to in January to this action improves up to 90. Well, effective next week. Will temporarily resource impacts. This action there when scheduled, and customers and staff are not left scrambling at the last minute. For the long staff were also to close my plan and budget, which will be as you know, which has set the stage across Durham. By 2030, improve the approved except at 1.5%. 2020 you will see in 2020 an increase in the region. Finally, Jamie, we wish him tremendous. Thank you, Jamie. And a close. Thanks.
Thank Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll move on.
All right. Well, maybe we'll get started while we wait for the slides to come up on screen. But thank you, Chair Crawford. as we implement year one of the 2023 to 2032 transit service and financing strategy that was approved by Tech and Council last month. Now, before we get into the details of the budget, I'm just going to ask Nicole Pincombe to come forward. She'll provide just some additional comments and context.
Thanks, Jamie, and good afternoon. Chair Crawford and members of TEC, thank you for the opportunity just to provide some short introductory comments to the transit budget that's before committee this afternoon for deliberation. I'd like to start by thanking General Manager Holmes and Jamie, Alex, and Christopher and the rest of the transit team for their dedication and collaboration in working with the budget team and pulling together the budget that's before you this afternoon. The budget that's before you is aligned with the corporate guideline that has been approved by Regional Council, the 5%. It also upon delivery. I'll turn it back to Jamie. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Nicole. And I think we'll just start initially by looking back at 2022. And it was a year of continued and, well, I'm pleased to say, sustained recovery when it comes to transit ridership. We saw strong growth in ridership and revenues in 2022 as the region emerged from the COVID-19 pandemic. Overall, and that's at a 67% level of pre-pandemic 2019 ridership, up from 40% in 2021. Monthly ridership levels further demonstrate with monthly ridership achieving 80% of pre-pandemic levels by end of year. It was even more 2022 budgeted total. In all, it's 79% of pre-pandemic levels. And we did continue to see monthly fare revenue growth over the course of the year, achieving and exceeding 85% of 2022 monthly revenues towards the end of the year. I will note that provincial that was continued to be made available in 2022 through phase 3 and 4 of the Safe Restart program to assist transit agencies with the cost and revenue impacts of the pandemic was key to our budget in 2022. And we do have expectations for continued support available in 2023. Now, throughout 2020, the expansion of the rapid bus 16. We launched 5 new routes, including the 211, 222, 319, 409, and 423. More than 10 routes saw enhancements to operate every 15 minutes or better, including the 920 connecting Harmony Terminal to McCowan Station. We extended the N2 overnight route to operate all night every 30 minutes, including connection to General Motors Oshawa plant, as well as the integration of our specialized and on-demand services, providing service equity for customers while delivering about 6,000 weekly trips. Overall, customer and community benefits. That included the continued provision of free trips to COVID-19 vaccination sites within the region, the implementation of a common DRT brand across on-demand services, ensuring a consistent customer experience throughout our network, the deployment of our first 10 hybrid diesel-electric addition And the 2020 capital cost including and charging infrastructure, leveraging federal funding and financing programs. Overall, services available and accessible to customers. With respect to revenue, % increase in property tax supported funding over 2022. Fare revenues, including fare adjustments to take effect in July, as approved in the Transit Service and Financing Strategy, are budgeted to account for about 14.5% of overall gross costs, or if you take capital costs out of the equation, that's 26% of operating expenditures, which is up from 20% in 2022. Provincial and federal gas tax, the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, and Safe Restart funding that's available to transit agencies to assist with the impacts of COVID-19. Another 15% is supported through regional revenue sources such as development charges and reserve funds, and another 10% supported through low-interest financing from the Canada Infrastructure Bank to support the acquisition of zero-emission buses and other regional debentures. The proposed from a service service hours for 2023, which includes a 15-minute weekday daytime frequency on the 905 between Whitby Station and Simcoe Britannia, extension of the 302 to the North Campus Terminal during weekday evenings and weekends, the provision of additional scheduled bus service to replace on-demand service as demand warrants, the introduction of weekend daytime service on the 423, and the delivery of nearly 8,000 additional on-demand hours to meet new growth and demand, including in rural areas. To ensure and support delivery of this service growth, 9 additional bus operators are required. Now, based on the fare adjustments that are proposed that were approved as part of the Transit Service and Financing Strategy to take effect in July, a $600,000 increase in fare revenue is forecasted for 2023, with more than $1 million in annual revenue. This includes a proposed 1.9% UPass fee adjustment for the 2023-24 academic year, beginning this September, which will increase the UPass costs by $2.75 per 4-month semester, from $147.25 to $150. The 1.9% increase is consistent with UPass fee adjustments in recent years, and we will continue to work with our post-secondary partners to establish new multi-year agreement to take effect in September of 2024, subject to council approval. Despite the strong sign the most recent for 2023, it's an increase of $7.5 million from the 2022 budgeted level, but it's still $2.4 million below our pre-pandemic budgeted level in 2020. 2023 advertising revenues continue to be impacted by the ongoing impacts of the pandemic, with a decrease of $500,000 from pre-pandemic levels, and we continue to face some costs associated with ensuring the availability of washroom facilities for our operators at key locations within the network. Collectively, these costs amount to $3.2 million in additional pandemic-related impacts that are eligible for funding under the Safe Restart program. DRT and region staff continue to support advocacy to the provincial and federal governments through transit industry and municipal associations for the need for additional Safe Restart funding in 2023. and beyond, given expectations that full recovery from the pandemic is not expected until 2024 or 25. Should the provincial or federal governments not extend additional funding support to maintain service levels, the region will need to consider the use of reserve funds or other cost mitigation measures. And with the approval of repair needs that the General Manager Holmes alluded to, 22 of our buses that were originally scheduled for retirement last year have been maintained in the fleet at this time to ensure fleet availability to meet our growth plans. As new vehicles and parts are received to fix some of these existing ones, some of the older vehicles will be retired as appropriate, allowing for savings from repair costs to keep these vehicles in operation. With respect to staffing, the 2020 proposed service growth. These positions have a $1.2 million impact in 2023 and a total annual impact of $2.1 million. They are essential. They are an essential investment in to ensure that we are appropriately positioned and resourced to implement Council's vision for transit and service growth over the next 10 years as set out in the Transit Service and Financing Strategy. And they include 7 service persons that will help to address staff capacity and increasing vehicle service requirements, 3 apprentice mechanics to mitigate attrition and labor market challenges, additional operations and maintenance supervisors to expand capacity, support service growth, and reduce overtime, project management expertise to support procurement, contract accountability, and emergency management, and technical positions to support increasingly complex vehicle and system requirements. Strategic planning activities including a workplace safety program related to fleet electrification, integration of on-time performance analytics to include on-demand services, and operational process improvements focused on dispatch, transit control, and emergency management. These activities are expected to have a combined cost of $600,000 and are funded and offset with provincial gas tax funding. And further to the Transit Service and transportation purposes. The service is provided on a full cost recovery basis for the operation, servicing, and administration of the vehicle at a base rate of $925 for 4 hours. We'll focus on the launch of the charter service in 2023 and report back to Tech, to Finance Administration, and Council on initial uptake and any program adjustments as part of the 2024 budget process. On the capital side, the 2023 budget includes it reflects service and financing strategy. It includes investment in 2023 for 22 growth battery electric buses, along with the charging equipment, facility design, software, and utility upgrades that would be required to support planned service expansion in 2025, recognizing lead times that are required for vehicle production and infrastructure installations. The combined total will leverage available to help minimize region funding requirements. In 2023, DRT will also be ordering its final 15 replacement diesel buses. Available Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program funding is being leveraged to support the acquisition of 12 of these vehicles. And going forward, we'll be ordering only zero-emission vehicles consistent with the fleet electrification plan. Additional major Canada Infrastructure Program, and in addition, our land acquisition and design costs for New Harmony and Winfield Farms transit terminals. Overall, 2023 capital program is $3.5 million. Now, I do want to on the transit ridership and revenue recovery. While we're seeing indications that we are on track to achieve recovery ahead of the industry recognized timeline of 2025, it is also unknown the extent to which alternative work and school arrangements will continue to evolve in the years ahead, impacting commuting trends in traditional markets such as travel to downtown Toronto. More immediately, it's unknown 2023 and beyond to address the ongoing impacts of the pandemic, which are estimated at $3.2 million for DRT this year. To date, the program has been instrumental in assisting DRT and the region to effectively mitigate the cost impacts and revenue loss resulting from the pandemic. However, it remains unknown whether additional funding will be made available beyond the current end date of December 31, 2022. Advocacy efforts continue through transit industry and municipal associations on the need for additional federal and provincial support. Additionally, one of the problems it's commitments within the automotive industry. DRT's ambitious 2023 and reflects the significant investment in vehicles and infrastructure needed to enable the transit service growth over the next 10 years. The growth vehicle acquisitions and the capital financing that will be forthcoming to the March Finance and Administration and Council meetings. And lastly, along with weather-related maintenance needs for ice and snow clearing at our stops and facilities, particularly during the shoulder months of winter when we have less cost certainty. These do remain a further risk for 2023 and beyond. Looking ahead, in the 2024 budget, the previously mentioned uncertainty with Durham's share of provincial gas tax and restricted time frames for federal funding programs supporting the transition to zero-emission vehicles could inhibit longer-term capital plans. Depending on the still to be announced terms and conditions of the Permanent Transit Fund that has been announced by the federal government to begin in 2026-27. The terms of that program will be key, as the transit service and financing strategy will require significant investment from both the region and other orders of government to be fully realized. And as you may recall, key commitments within that plan include more than doubling our existing service by adding 625,000 revenue service hours by 2032, the acquisition of battery electric buses and associated charging infrastructure to complete the transition to zero-emission technologies by 2037, capital and operating impacts for the new maintenance and storage facility at 2400 Thornton Road in Oshawa, upgrades and expansion to key transit terminals to improve customer amenities and support service growth, including at Harmony, Pickering Parkway, and Winfield Farms, and completing our bus stop safety and accessibility improvements by 2025 to meet deadlines established in the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act. And with that, that concludes our presentation today, and well, thank you for your time, and we'd certainly be pleased to take any questions.
Thank you. Yep. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta do something.
In our fleet electrification plan that was approved by Council in June of last year, It did note that as of 2024, we will be purchasing only zero-emission battery electric buses going forward, but that there would be a final order of 15 buses, 15 diesel buses to round that out.
So
So through the chair, there is acquire and install charging infrastructure and some design work and retrofits at our facilities to support that. The battery electric buses, the 22 battery electric buses we're ordering in 23 are scheduled to arrive by 2025 to support our service growth. And that gives us the time to have that infrastructure acquired, installed, and to ensure that our facilities are ready for the vehicles when they get here. Those 15 diesel buses are expected to arrive much sooner, and they'll help ensure that the state of good repair of our fleet going forward until the battery electric buses start to arrive.
okay.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And through you, you mentioned, of course, one of the big pressures this year will be the inflationary pressures on things like fuel. What are we budgeting to spend on fuel this year for the fleet? Roughly.
I'll ask Nicole if she wants to speak to that.
Through the chair, sorry, I'm just pulling up the number here for you, Councillor Schumer. I apologize. And I may have to get it at my desk where my computer is. I apologize again. Let me just see if it's on this.
So perhaps a particular fuel, and that's in the budget detail document.
Yeah, thank you very much, because I wanted to tie that in, of course, with the fleet electrification. And I'm not sure if this had been given to us at last month's meeting, because obviously that is part of the long-term plan, is the electrification of the fleet. And this will be the last year we're purchasing diesel. And this might be something that has to come to me and the rest of the commissioners offline. But I would be curious to know over, say, the next 10 years, or over the period in which we're finally going to phase out the diesel vehicles, what we're going to save in fuel, kind of on a net basis, over the next 10 years or more, because obviously it's not only an environmentally sound practice to do this, but obviously with inflationary pressures hitting fuel, it would be very interesting to just confirm what we're expecting, perhaps, those savings.
So So
Thank you. No, the reason I ask is it would be interesting to know, because obviously this is going to be something that goes well beyond 10 or 20 years. This is going to be something that's good to have out in the community as to the benefits, the multiple benefits of electrification of the fleet, and obviously fuel would be one of them. Thank you very much.
do you have that number that Commissioner Schumer was looking for? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry. Through
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and I hope you're having a great day so far. Jamie, I'm going to start off my remarks to be able to say, first and foremost, all the best in your new role, and thank you very much for your service to Durham Region, of course, Durham Regional Transit. We only wish you great success, and it's been a pleasure dealing with you. So I wanted to make sure I started off my remarks by passing on my very best to you. I was surprised. I didn't know you were leaving, so kind of caught me by surprise. Jamie, just out of curiosity, we're ready to be able to absorb the new electrification buses. Will the Raleigh location, have we done the infrastructure to get ready for the electric buses?
Through the chair, and first off, fleet electrification plan that was approved last June. It did look at each of our facilities and what improvements would be required to support that. We have approved in 2024, and work has been underway with Oshawa Power to support the acquisition and installation of the charging infrastructure at our Raleigh location to support the arrival of those buses to make sure that we're ready to go when they do get here.
Jamie, just to follow up, did we have to, are our mechanics or technicians, are they taking different courses now to be able to understand the differences in regards to the new fleet that'll be coming about? And have we allocated training dollars in regards to helping them make that transition?
Through the chair. General Manager of Maintenance. I did mention an electrification safety and training program to support the arrival of the vehicles. So we are looking at what additional training and support programs are needed to ensure that our staff have the requisite skills to support the vehicles. And that'll the vehicles are some training from the manufacturers themselves on how to maintain and operate. I know, Robert, if there's anything you wanted to add.
Thank you. We are in across GTA and across the country, for that matter, to review the programs that they have for training their technicians that currently maintain diesel buses to be able to transition to maintaining an electrical fleet.
Great. Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate it. Just in closing, Madam Chair, I'm just wondering that as that rolls out, maybe we can have an opportunity to visit the facility to be able to see this new infrastructure, and especially when the new arrival of the bus, I'm hoping that everybody's invited to that because I think that's very, very exciting. I know that most municipalities, including the great city of Oshawa, is going through a transitional period now. We've got electric vehicles in our fleet and are expanding it. Matter of fact, this July we'll be welcoming 7 more EVs into our fleet, so we're excited about that. But there are a lot of moving parts in regards to this transition. So again, Jamie, all the best to you and your family. Good luck in your new position, and thank you for lending your skills, your abilities, your talents, your giftings, and your dedication to our organization.
Get this fleet going.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to staff. I just have a few clarification questions from my understanding about the EV buses and the diesel. First of all, what is the charge duration of an EV bus? In other words, once it's charged, how long can it be in service before it needs another charge?
Through the chair. Now on a single charge, but they still so we do. We do. $37. So, we're confident that over the next 10 to 15 years that replacement ratio can come down and we'll get closer to 1-to-1. Our focus in the early years, we're trying to expedite what we can. That's in place today is to focus on those routes that are more straightforward to replace and can be accommodated with battery range capabilities today.
Okay, thank you. And excuse me, building on that, I quite imagine there's a difference, but in terms of the cost per hour to for fuel and electrical charge to run an EV bus versus a diesel, what do you anticipate the relative costs to be, and what does that translate to into perhaps a savings, I would hope, between an EV charge per hour basis and a diesel bus? Which is, in our case, we estimated out at 12 years. There are from particularly through on the fuel maintenance costs of the vehicles. So that can be 60 to 70% is what's estimated on the operating side. As Commissioner Taylor was speaking to, the low interest bank leverages those savings, and it's based on those savings that we make repayment to the infrastructure bank for the low interest loan that they provide to support the acquisition of the vehicles. The cost than what we have today, and we need some significant infrastructure installations and utility upgrades at our facilities. So these are the costs that come with adopting a new fuel supply chain, essentially. So there are a number of upfront investments that are needed to position us to be able to achieve this transition, so that as the vehicles arrive, we're able to get them out and begin to realize some of the operating savings that we do expect from them. Okay, and I think you sort of jumped partway into my third question, which was, a fuel cost is one thing and maintenance is quite another. We've heard about the lower need for the usual type of maintenance that you would have on a fuel-driven vehicle. What do you anticipate the difference would be in service maintenance between an EV bus and a diesel bus?
So less opportunities for parts to wear down, to seize up. That's part of the learning. People vehicles arriving is what that maintenance program looks like and what some of the efficiencies are that can be expected from the vehicles.
Okay. Thanks, Madam Chair. I'm not sure what's going on with my camera here, but I look pretty wonky to myself on my screen. I hope it's not coming across too badly for you folks. Anyway, Jamie, thanks for your presentation. Have a great day. Oh dear, well, it wouldn't be the first time in my life I've been accused of being wonky, but usually not because of a video camera. Thanks very much.
Okay. Chairman.
Does that mean that each wheel drives, and will they be better in the snow?
Through the chair. So as the vehicle accelerates and then decelerates, it is recharging the battery on board the vehicle. In terms of seasonality, I'll look to some of my colleagues here if they're aware. I'm not as familiar with that. I think General Manager Holmes wants to add some thoughts there.
Thank you, and through the chair. I haven't heard of anything coming out from the industry specific to that in terms of a difference, but that's part of why we want to complete our pilot, get some buses in and see how they perform for us. But that is a question we'll take away and talk to our colleagues who are operating electric buses to see if there is a difference.
The reason I ask the question is that when we go to all electric vehicles, each wheel will have its own motor to drive those wheels. And currently we rely upon two wheels to drive buses. Correct?
No, through the chair, Christopher Norris is a real great source of technical information, so I'm going to pass it to Christopher.
Sorry, through the
So maybe I'm making this too complicated, but in the future, the vehicles will be driven by will they be driven by a transmission, or will each wheel be driven by its own motor?
single.
So it's different than a gasoline hybrid or diesel hybrid SUV. So, okay, thank you.
Regarding the transition and savings and key aspects, so perhaps what we can do for the commission.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter said it all and more. Thank you, Jamie, for all of your service in this particular committee, and we'll miss you, but good luck in your future. We're going to move on to delegates. We have Marion Fulcher. Would you like to come up to the microphone?
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. My name is Marion Fulcher, and I have a daughter, Candice, with special needs. Actually, Bill Holmes has addressed a number of the points that I'm about to make in my presentation, but I feel I still want to make them from a parent's perspective of the situation. I did forward a submission regarding my transportation concerns, but I'm not sure if everyone has had a chance to read it. So here is a summary of the points I made. For a number of years, my daughter has used Specialized Services Transportation to attend her various day programs. Currently, she attends programs 3 days a week at the Ability Center in Whitby and the Community Participation Program, which was formerly known as ARC Industries, in Ajax. The transportation system was originally provided by Pacific West, but was taken over by Durham Transit in 2017. Her transportation schedule was input into specialized services once, and no further action was required unless there were changes in her schedule. This service worked extremely well. Then the pandemic hit and all day programs were closed. When the transportation system had been changed, the full-size bus that picked up multiple clients in the area was no longer in operation. Also, it was now required to call specialized services for each trip, and reservations could only be made up to 7 days in advance. Gone was the ability to set up a routine standard pickup. A smaller wheelchair bus was now used to pick up the clients. For the a few problems were encountered in scheduling transportation for these day programs, and rides were often not available for the start and finish time. To try but despite the dispatcher gave me a number of reasons for the problems in booking rides, namely lack of drivers, on-demand rides and specialized services transportation were scheduled together utilizing the same buses and drivers, and also a new software system had been rolled out which did not have the capability to match client needs and bus availability efficiently. A few weeks ago, recently, however, problems have increased. For example, Candice would get picked up for a day program, and sometimes it would take almost 2 hours before she was dropped off at her actual program, which is really only 5 to 15 minutes away driving time. This resulted in her missing an hour of her program. Sometimes transportation arrived well after programs had finished, requiring staff who were conducting the program to remain on site to ensure that the clients got on their bus. These scheduling issues also created problems for the day program organizers, who often arrange events and volunteer positions out in the community. Last Thursday, I received a call early in the morning from Specialized Services stating that due to a large number of drivers booking off, 71 rides for that day had to be rescheduled. Consequently, Candice did not have a ride to her day program that day or a ride home. The following day, I received another call stating that once again there were no drivers available. Clients depend on a reliable transportation system to their day programs, and they have to pay for these day programs even though they cannot attend due to transportation issues. Specialized services buses can accommodate 8 passengers and 3 wheelchairs. However, these buses and drivers are being phased out to be replaced by a contract service that provides smaller vehicles, which can accommodate only 3 passengers and 1 wheelchair. Considering that the on-demand and specialized pickups are rolled into one service, this will require a lot more vehicles and also more drivers to support a service that appears to be deteriorating. That her office would forward my concerns on to Bill Holmes, who would contact me directly. To date, I have not received a reply. So that's basically the situation from a parent's perspective.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if it's appropriate. I would like to find out if we are complaint. you shouldn't be. It's a matter of special. So hopefully that's not. But what you have said is you have encountered problems of delays and.
Yes, the buses are either not available at the time of day that we need them. Now, I also understand totally that there are certain parts of the day that buses are in high demand, such as early in the morning and probably around 3:30 to 5:30 in the afternoon. But I'm not sure what the situation, if the situation can be remedied, but it would seem that extra buses and drivers would be required for these peak times to accommodate the number of persons going to these day programs. Because a lot of the persons that do go depend on the specialized services to get them there.
Thank you for being here.
So I think there are a lot of people in the same situation as me.
Thank you.
Thank you, and through the chair, personally, my apologies if I did not respond to an email. I'm sorry. In regard, we're providing and through on demand, and if you're we have some training limitations go through the system. I do, as a public transit provider, we are unable to provide, so we don't look at the public. We are not a medical transport service, and again, if there are individuals that are need transport specifically for medical reasons and they need that certainty, then again, there are those. But we just need up here and dropped off there. So that's part of the reasons from an equity perspective as public transit. We really appointments. It is a significant part of our service as well that's offered, but it's not because of dialysis, because they require the specialized trips. So again, we are putting. If we're going to say we can do the trip, we'll be there, and we are also advancing our capacity to make sure that we can meet that demand that continues to grow, both from a pandemic recovery as well as a result of increasing demand because of equity. Now, people can access a service where in the past, perhaps they were not able to access. Thank you.
For hearing my presentation.
I'm so sorry, Commissioner Roy. Let me turn you on.
That's okay. And to Ms. Fulcher, this isn't a question. I just want to, and I'm going to follow up with you as well too, because I have a response to you, but I don't know how it fell through the cracks. But I apologize for that as well too, because we have no long time. Thank you.
Okay, under correspondence, we have correspondence from Dana Nichols, a Durham resident. I need a seconder to have this referred to staff for review and response. Thank you. Also, Thank you. All right, so now we're moving to reports. The general manager report. Were there any mover and a seconder? Chair Henry? Commissioner Anderson?
Electric vehicles, which require a lot less mechanical intervention. So I just need.
Through the chair, and we will buses in the fleet through 2037. We are facing significant attrition of licensed mechanics who've been with us for a number of years and are about to retire. So we do need to replenish attrition, either attrition of our existing licensed mechanics or the new ones we're bringing on, or retraining will help support that. But at this point in time, licensed diesel mechanics that can maintain the fleet. Why we're at external candidates.
And will these new mechanics have training on electric vehicles as well? Will that be part of the requirement of being hired?
Through the chair, mechanics apprentices that were hired. A maintenance person to maintain electric vehicles. We're just not there yet. There is no certification specific to that. So at this point in time, it really is working with vendors and others in terms of making sure that employees have that training to be safe when working on those vehicles.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not seeing. Thank you. I need a mover. Commissioner Garrett and seeing. Thank you. Don't have anything under 8 or 9. Any other? If not, then we'll see you on April the 5th. I need a motion to adjourn. Commissioner. Thank you.